Fracas made us from stone to protect Girdlegard. Against orcs, ogres, and all the other beasts of Tior. We are the guardians of Girdlegard. We are the children of the Divine Smith. We are the Dwarves. Not possible right now! Just a moment! I could do with your help! Landling! A present from the workshop! I'd be happy to pass on this present to the Greenskins. On my way! Again! And stay dead! Just a moment! Not possible right now! Just a moment! Forgive me, my king.
What is it? A present from the workshop!
I'd be happy to pass on this present to the Greenskins. My king! What are you doing here?
Giselbert Eye, the father of the Fifthling clan, has not been on the front line of battle against the creatures of Tion for many cycles. The king surveys the battlefield and the defenders with a grave expression.
We are too few.
This you know as well as he does. But there will be no reinforcements arriving. Hundreds of brave warriors lie inside the fortress dying. The illness is running rampant. It brings weakness and death.
Stay at your posts. Be as steadfast as the granite of which we are made. Nothing can break us. Vrakas is with us.
Yes?
Huh?
Huh?
What? Yes? It will be so.
Yes?
What is it? Be off with you. Hammer time! Yes? Be off with you. What's that?
Unstated! Yes?
What? On my way! What is it?
Yes?
Another one goes! What?
Huh?
Another
What
one
is it?
gone! Be off with you! Yes? Hammer time!
Huh? What is it?
What?
These are the ones who attacked us in the tunnels. We suffered great losses beating them back.
Come here and I'll split you like a straw, you treacherous elf!
In his fury, the old king radiates a ferocious power that none of Citalia's children could withstand. But the slight, willowy being sitting astride the shadow mare just grins down, mockingly.
You are mistaken. We are Alpha. We are here to destroy the elves.
All peace-loving beings here in Girdlegard are under our protection, and you cannot open the gate that has barred your path into Girdlegard since the creation of the world.
Not us, but perhaps one of your kind.
This cannot be. Silence, you fool! Vrakas, forgive me for what I am about to do.
Quickly, in formation! You must hold them back until I close the gate!
Huh?
Look at me. I am Cintharas, the Reaper of your death. I will take your life, and the land will take your soul.
Get out of my sight, pointy ears, and let me delight at the closed gate a little longer.
The gate may have closed, but when you rise again from the dead by the power of the land, you will be one of us, and you will open it.
Never! My soul belongs to Vrakas.
No, your soul now belongs to the land, and henceforth you will belong to it forever. Now die, and return. Then hand us Girdlegard.
You're a perfectionist, Tungdil Bolafar.
I've got a reputation to uphold. If you can't rely on the metalwork of a dwarf, what can you rely on? What can I do for you?
For me, nothing. It's Lot Yonan. He wants to see you in his study.
In your mind, you go through all the recent incidents that might have annoyed the Magus. Apart from a few little squabbles with his famuli, nothing worth mentioning happened since the incident with your beard. You nod.
Okay. You look dreadful.
What a charmer.
The maid gives you an ironic, reprimanding scowl.
Ikana has been crying half the night.
When you were teething, I carried you around the vaults. You played with my beard and I sang you to sleep.
Frala smiles. She's heard this story many times before.
That was 23 cycles ago. But I'm quite sure you didn't sing. You might have grumbled a bit.
If what you've read about the dwarven lifespan is true, it'll be another 300 sun cycles and more before you are called to the Eternal Forge. The certainty of one day having to witness Frala's death already burdens your heart.
I'd better not keep the Magus waiting.
See you later. There's goulash for dinner.
There was a time when you could hardly lift the heavy hammer. Now you barely notice it anymore, and it feels like an extension of your arm. Smithing is in your blood.
This is where you swung the forge hammer for the first time 30 cycles ago. No one taught you the craft. It was enough for you to watch Lot Yonan's old smith at work. Whenever the workshop was empty, you practiced and quickly mastered the craft with ease.
You've worked a bit more on Sunya's birthday present last night. The little one is crazy about horses. You, on the other hand, prefer to keep your distance unless you're fitting them with hooves. Too many legs and way too big. Everything you know about dwarves you learnt from books. The divine smith created the dwarves, and from time to time you make him an offering of some crumbs of gold. It's the most valuable thing you have to offer Vracus. Everything you
Hey, groundling! Come to the kitchen, we need you.
Jolison, a 4th degree famulus and your favourite foe among the students of magic, gives you a disparaging glance and disappears without waiting for your reply. There are apparently dwarves who have never seen the sky. And you too feel more comfortable when you have rock over your head. If only you didn't long to see more of the world, a longing that grows stronger with every year. Lot Yonan's vaults are equipped with laboratories, a library, and private rooms for the famuli. Together with the forge, the kitchen, and the other utility rooms, it makes up quite an impressive complex. But compared to the courts of the other magi, the seat of power in Yonandar is small and modest. Of the 200 or so people selected to learn the art of magic under Lot Yonan, there's barely a handful of them you can stand the sight of. You're not at all interested in magic in all its elusiveness and whimsy. Your realm is the forge. Lot Yonan didn't just take you in. He also taught you how to read and write. But you don't feel like reading right now, especially as you already know all the books by heart.
Tangdale! Quick! Or the goulash will get burnt!
You immediately recognize what the problem is. A chain running over a pulley for positioning the cauldron is detached from its mounting and the cauldron stuck in the fireplace. It's a heavy load and none of the famuli, who feel superior even during kitchen duty, dare do anything. They might burn their fingers, or even get a bit dirty.
I am your godfather, little one. I'll look after you just like I looked after your mother.
Little Akana grasps your calloused finger and smiles at you wide-eyed. Vegetables, bread, cheese, but the cook is not to be trifled with. Many painful knuckles have taught you that she knows how to handle her heavy wooden spoon, and that she may possibly have eyes in the...
It'd be a waste of goulash. And I'm hungry. Here, hold this. Do you remember when you dyed my beard with some magic spell? I had to shave it off.
You stroke your beard, which is unusually short for a dwarf.
Damn it! Ah, it's heavy!
The young human forces through his pursed lips, letting the pot sink a little.
Don't you dare ruin my goulash, boy!
The cook, with beefy forearms, glares at the young man, and after a brief moment, he tries harder. With as much concern in your voice as you can muster, you say,
Oh, no, this doesn't look good.
You're pleased to notice he's dripping with sweat.
I'll get you back for this, groundling! You damned freak!
For a moment, you hope the famulus really does raise his hand to you. But then he comes to his senses and leaves the kitchen, his face bright red.
What a pair you are!
The goulash is bubbling in the cauldron. You draw the warm air in through your nose, and the smell makes your mouth start watering. The beer that is delivered to the vaults is supposed to be the best beer in Idderslane. It's certainly your favourite beer, but you haven't drunk enough other beers to truly know.
Do you know what Lot Yonan wants?
The maid gives you an amused look. She has often accused you of making things more complicated than necessary.
Do you know what Lot...
The maid...
Hey, what are you doing, groundling? We're still eating here. Why don't you go and get your own portion?
The blacksmith? Do you want something?
I should speak to Lot Yonan first. He doesn't like to be kept waiting.
You mumble and wonder when you started speaking thoughts like this out loud.
Master Lot Yonan, Frala told me you wished to speak with me.
Ah, Tungdil, come in. There is a bag over there in the cupboard. Take it out, please. It contains artifacts belonging to my former famulus Goren. I wish to return them to him. He's in Blacksaddle, 300 miles away.
300 miles? That's a long journey. Who are you going to entrust with this?
I was thinking of you.
Me?
There is no one better to take on this journey. You have acquired much knowledge. You are almost a scholar. You know more than most famuli about Girdlegard and its inhabitants. It is time for you to go out into the world and see it with your own eyes.
With pleasure. What's in the bag?
Magical devices. You better leave the bag closed if you want to avoid any accidents. Dwarves don't really like magic, and magic doesn't like you either.
Rakus gave us so much craftsmanship that there's no space left in our bodies for magic.
Strictly speaking, every time you've been too close to magic, it has ended in catastrophe.
Perhaps I'll meet some dwarves on my travels.
Yes, perhaps. But don't hold out too much hope. And be careful who you talk to. Not everyone out there likes dwarves.
Yeah, goblins. They abduct baby dwarves and sell them to magi, from what I've heard.
Not the best bit of business I've ever done. But what was I to do? The Longnoses threatened to throw you into the nearest river. Be on your guard. Look after the bag and don't lose it. May Palandiel be with you. And Vrakas too, of course.
I'll set off immediately. I'll see you soon, Lot Yonan. if I hurry. I might be back in time for Sonia's birthday.
You're longing to see her face when you give her your homemade present.
I wonder if dwarves ask Vracus for help on long journeys.
The figure on the homemade altar doesn't answer.
Within a few moments you find Blacksaddle on the map. It is southeast of Parista, a little more than halfway between the city of the Magus Nudin and Lot Yonan's vaults. You trace the path from the vaults to the mountain with your finger. It doesn't seem far on the map, but it will be the biggest journey of your life.
It would be better to leave Lot Yonan to his work for now. You've already been given an assignment and you should leave as soon as possible. After all, you don't want him thinking you're homesick before you've even left.
The goulash is bubbling in the cauldron. You
Hello, Frala. I need provisions for 300 miles.
You're grinning from ear to ear. Finally, you've got the chance to see something of the world.
300? Tungdil, that's no errand. That's an epic journey. Wait, I've got just the right thing. But make sure the cook doesn't see.
I'm going to Blacksaddle to return a few things to a former apprentice in the Magus.
You pocket the rye bread, sausages, and ham. Enough food for the first few days of your journey.
Perhaps I'll even meet some dwarves on the way.
Frala throws you a cautious glance. It's a tricky subject that you can't help but broach.
There aren't dwarves down here. You're the only one in Idaslane, as far as we know.
I know, but I can't just have been born out of a rock. Somewhere in the mountains, I have a clan. Maybe even a family.
Yes. Maybe.
Frala has reminded you more than once that Lot Yonan wrote to the dwarf clans and none of them were missing a dwarf boy.
I've got a present for you.
You take out a symbol of protection that you've carefully made from 3 horseshoe nails.
It's not the finest jewellery in Girdlegard.
One look at Frala's face makes it clear that it doesn't matter. She glows with happiness as she takes the pendant.
For me? But why?
Because you don't see me as an oddity, and you're like a little sister to me.
You could have said. But you settle with a shrug and a crooked smile.
I have to go. I've got a long journey ahead of me.
I wish you the blessing of Palandial and Vracus to protect you from all danger on your journey. Here, a talisman. Whenever you look at it, think of me.
Frala winks at you mischievously.
And of getting me a nice present.
How nice to see you again, Lot Yonan. It must have been an age since we last met face to face.
Nudin, welcome. Please, sit down.
No, thank you, my friend. These are urgent matters, and I don't have much time. You must come to Leos Nudin immediately. The perished land is stirring.
Are you sure? What makes you think that?
I found out about 60 orbits ago, during a visit to the borders. Our magical barriers have weakened and become porous. The Elfar have left their land, and a huge horde of orcs have marched into Girdlegard.
Were you able to strengthen the spell with your magic?
No. I can't repair the damage alone. We need the combined power of the 6. The other 4 are already on their way here, but we need your help too.
I will set off for Parista without delay.
Oh, and as you're coming, could you also take the opportunity to bring back the things that I lent to you?
Of course. I have them already packed in a bag.
Oh, thank you. We'll be expecting you.
Utterly blinded by the sunlight, you squeeze your eyes tightly shut after only a few steps. The time spent underground has made you so sensitive to light that you're forced to seek shelter in the shade of a mighty oak. You reach a small lake by a birchwood. Your feet hurt and your eyes still sting in the unaccustomed sunlight, but a smile spreads across your face nonetheless. You've covered a decent distance on the first day of your big journey. Around midday, with the sun high in the sky and the first beads of sweat appearing on your forehead, you see something move next to the road, a few hundred meters ahead. Some crows are pecking at something in the long grass. The creaking leather armor, the clattering rucksack, and a dwarf's inability to be quiet makes the crows flap around as you move from one bush to another. You give up trying to be stealthy, stand up straight, and see 2 human bodies in the flapping grass. You don't see any signs of a struggle in the area where the corpses are lying. Were they stabbed by a companion? A stranger could hardly have crept up on them with such sparse cover.
Nothing.
A slender man lies in front of you, dressed in an expensive robe. It is in the colours of Turgur the Fair-Faced, one of the 6 magi. The dead man must be one of Turgur's famuli. You don't see any wounds. You look down on a tall, broadly built man. He's wearing dark brown leather armour that is strengthened with iron plates. There's a sword lying next to him. Was he trying to defend himself against something? Or someone? There is no blood on the sword.
Nothing again.
You halt. There is something.
A rucksack? Did someone hide it in the bushes, or was it thrown in there?
You open the rucksack and recognize that someone has already rummaged through it. As well as some implements and writing utensils, you find a pouch full of gold and a talisman. The gold is proof that this is not a case of robbery. Warmth and a feeling of security flush through your body as you touch the talisman. You feel safer just holding it in your hand.
I'm taking you with me.
A rucksack that probably belonged to one of the dead. It seems to have been searched and then thrown away carelessly. You find a few implements, some provisions, and a map. A route is drawn on it from Parista, Nudin's capital, to Lot Yonan's vaults. You scour the area once more and ask yourself what to do next.
By Vrachus.
There are some narrow stab wounds in the man's chest. The cuts are too big to have been made by arrows, but too small for sword wounds. The man has the same incisions. It's clear that both men were killed by the same weapon. But what that weapon might be, you cannot say. You scour the area once more and ask yourself what to do next. It's time-consuming and strenuous work digging shallow graves in the ground with a stick and covering the corpses with a few stones. But it should at least keep the crows from their feasting for a while. You continue on your way so as to put a few more miles between you and your grisly find before night falls.
As the gable end of a small farmhouse and a barn appear from behind a hilltop, you hear the loud cries of children at play. A girl runs along the path laughing, followed by a small boy with a big stick in his hand. The boy is trying to catch up his sister with a determined look on his face, but is finding it difficult to keep his short legs under control on the uneven path. The boy trips and falls to the ground with a bump. Before the girl can reach him to help, he picks himself up and grabs the stick to continue the chase. In doing so, he catches a glimpse of you, and his eyes grow wide. All he manages to say is, "There," as he points towards you with a chubby little finger. Now the girl has turned to face you too. Before you can say a word, she lifts her little brother up into her arms and runs screaming towards the farmhouse. Without rushing, you follow the children to the farmhouse into which they've disappeared. After a few moments, they reappear, accompanied by their parents. Their father is a thick-set man with grey hair.
I am Opatia. This is my wife, Remsa.
The blonde woman nods a greeting almost imperceptibly and clasps her daughter tightly to her. She looks you over with an anxious expression.
It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Tungdal.
You try to make your voice sound as harmless as possible.
I'm sorry if I scared your wife and children.
The man waves dismissively.
No. It's just that my fair woman is especially jumpy these days.
The orcs have been spotted near Calmstead. You should take it more seriously.
The farmer's wife clutches her daughter even tighter before the girl finally protests. The boy steps forward excitedly and cuts the air with his stick.
If strangers come, we're supposed to run away, but I can hit them too.
Opatia pats his son on the head, laughing.
We're safe. The orcs have no reason to come so far north.
Wouldn't it be better to move to one of the bigger villages if there are orcs around?
The farm is our livelihood. We can't just leave the place. The fields don't look after themselves. King Tilligorn's cavalry will take care of the orcs, or Lord Yonan and his magi.
But the cavalry can't be everywhere at once. Even a handful of orcs would be enough to finish us.
Once the seeds are planted, I'll build the hideaway, just as you wish. But what use is a hideaway if we've nothing to eat in the autumn?
If there are orcs in the area, then you shouldn't waste any time. Build that hideaway.
The dwarf is right.
Remsa gives you a thankful smile before turning to her husband.
We'll take care of the other problems when we come to them. The most important thing is that we're safe.
Opatia stays silent for a moment, a gloomy expression on his face, before shrugging his shoulders.
All right then. Dwarves do know best when it comes to orcs.
Over the last few days, have you seen two travellers heading east?
Opatia looks at his wife, but she shakes her head.
Why do you ask?
I found them. Two dead bodies on the side of the road. A good day's march east from here.
Dead bodies?
She hastily covers her son's ears.
Was it orcs?
Remsa, what would orcs be doing up here? It was probably just bandits.
You bid farewell and set off on your way. The children follow you for a while before saying their goodbyes in laughter and running back towards the farm. You see a flickering light through the trees some way from the path. It might come from a campfire. You walk towards the fire with confident strides until you finally make out 3 broad-shouldered men with axes. 2 rabbits are sizzling over the fire. The men are joking with one another, but you can only understand the odd word. They haven't noticed you yet. You sneak up on the men until a thick branch breaks loudly under your boot. You realize, terrified, that the men's voices have fallen silent. The men jump up and grab their axes.
Who's there?
You step into the light of the fire, your hands raised in a conciliatory gesture.
My name is Tungdil. I'm only...
Well, I'll be. Is that a groundling?
The men look you over suspiciously.
What's a groundling doing creeping around here? Are you after our gold?
I bet you was hoping to slit our throats once we fell asleep, subterranean scum.
Your heart is pounding, and you confront the man a little more courageously than you feel.
I'm no thief, and I'm certainly no murderer. I only wanted to see if...
Pah! All groundlings are thieves and good-for-nothings.
You find it difficult to take control of your voice again.
Have you met many dwarves?
Enough to know that you're all dirty thieves.
The next morning, visions of axes, faces full of hate, fists and heavy boots flicker through your befuddled mind. Your first attempt to move fails when pain shoots through every bone, every muscle, and every nerve in your body. It's a long time before you manage to sit up and tend to your wounds in the early sunlight. There's no trace of the woodcutters. They must have thrown you into the undergrowth near the campfire once they were finished with you. You reach a small lake by a birchwood. Your feet hurt and you pitch your camp and lie down to sleep on the hard forest. Around midday, with the you survey the grass, the bushes and the few trees that are growing on both sides of the trail. When you see the blood on the ground, you try to convince yourself it's from an animal that just happened. A slender man lies in front of you.
By Vracus.
There are some You don't see any sign.
nothing. A ruck.
You open. Warm. You look down on... The man has a rucksack. You find...
Does this mean...
You scour the air. It's time-consuming and strenuous work. You continue. As the gable end of the board. You walk towards the children. As you raise your hand, now the girl has turned to face. Without rushing, they're far. The blonde.
It's a. I'm sorry.
The man. The boy. Opat.
Wouldn't it be the fun?
But the cat.
If they're all.
The Opat.
Over the last few.
Opatia, look. You wave dismissively.
Oh, nothing. They were just friends that I was hoping to meet.
You bid farewell and say. You see a flickering light. You creep 3 broad-shouldered. Once you reach the edge of the firelight, you say amicably,
"Greetings. My name is..."
The men jump up and grab their axes.
Well, I'll be.
My name is Tungdil. I'm only a traveller who would have nothing against a warm fire and some company.
A groundling wants...
We are honest, hard-working men. Why would we have anything to do with groundlings? Be off with you.
The man strengthens his grip on the axe.
Sod off, groundling. Have I made myself clear?
The man comes a step closer.
Put down your weapons or I'll be forced to use mine.
You threatening us, groundling?
Now consider this. I am a dwarf with an axe, and I don't use my axe for cutting down trees.
The men are visibly unsettled and lower their axes a little. The next morning, visions of axes, faces full of hate, fists. It's a long time before... As the gable end, the boy, now the without the blonde.
It's a. I'm. Wouldn't it be better?
But the cat.
If there.
The
over the. I found
dead bodies.
Remsa, what?
You bid. You see a flickering light. You walk. Once you reach the men,
Well,
My name is Tungdal.
A perfect stranger, a groundling, speaking like a king. We are woodcutters. Talk our language, or better still, get lost.
I only wanted to be polite.
Sod your politeness and your pretty words, groundling, and be off with you.
Put down.
You threatening.
Now consider.
the men are visibly unsettled.
I thought so.
You turn your back on the men and walk back to the path confidently. You don't hear any steps behind you, and only once you've put distance between you do you dare look back over your shoulder. None of the men have followed you. You sigh with relief. It could have ended up a very painful experience if you'd provoked the men or shown them any weakness. You reach the banks of the Warder and can see Axeldale on the other side, but there isn't a bridge for far and wide. The fishermen's boats glide over the water, which sparkles in the sun. None of the men seem to notice you while they throw out their nets. You look at the cold, dark water. The current seems so strong that they could carry off even the most experienced of swimmers. And you aren't even a mediocre one. You once read a legend in a book. Elria, the goddess of water, did not like the children of the Forge and cursed the dwarves, so that they would drown in any waters beyond their kingdoms. The main reason that dwarves avoid water to this day. You call to the nearest fisherman. He looks across at you briefly before turning away and getting back to his work. You're going to have to find another way of crossing the river. You leave the peaceful banks of the river behind you and continue on your way. You can see the familiar entranceway to the underground vaults, but you don't enter.
What would I tell Lot Yonan?
You look down on a large village on the banks of the Warder. Some of the village is built on stilts in the river. A wooden bridge spans the fast-flowing water. A huge wooden palisade has been erected to protect the village from attack. Your eyes roam the land on the other side of the river. You estimate that you will soon have completed half of the journey to Blacksaddle, but you still can't make out the mountain on the horizon. The guards on the palisade are watching you. Their armor looks well cared for and well made. The smith who made them knew what he was doing. You conclude that the men depend on the protection the armor offers and aren't just wearing them to look good. They're certainly not villagers. There are small fires burning every 50 steps or so. They are intended to light up the area in front of the palisade in the night, so that orcs can't creep up to within an arrow's reach without being seen.
Orc skulls?
You're not sure it's wise to taunt the beasts with the severed heads of their fellow kind. The double gate is made of strong planks, sturdy but still much less solid than the fixed parts of the palisade. Security has been forgone here for practical reasons. Never a good idea when building fortifications.
Orc skulls?
Some of the guards begin to whisper as you near the gate.
Hello up there! What brings you to fair good water? And have you seen any orcs on your travels, groundling?
The man leaning over the palisade eyes you up and down carefully.
Goodwater is well known for its hospitality.
A fact that you've just made up yourself.
Let me in, and I will tell other travellers all about it.
I regret to inform you that we cannot allow you to enter. The gates stayed closed once night has fallen.
There is certainly no regret showing in the man's face. The orc heads on the spears look fresh, a fact that causes you unease for more than one reason.
Those won't scare orcs away.
I hope not. The more orc heads that end up on those spears, the more gold coins that end up in our pockets. Right, boys? Yeah! That's right! Yeah! We've killed our fair share of orcs and know how to motivate them. Those ugly mugs will spur them on, and then they'll perish in front of our gates.
Two things become clear to you. Firstly, that the mercenaries the villagers have hired are excellent at killing orcs, and secondly, that they sadly have no brains at all.
When did you kill these orcs?
Yesterday. We caught a couple of their scouts first. The others tried to take revenge in the evening. Let's see who'll turn up today.
I'm a blacksmith. And a dwarf. Let me tell you, your gate might look solid, but it won't withstand a real orc assault.
The murmuring all around him makes the man pause for a moment. If anyone else had criticized the stronghold, they'd have been laughed down and shooed away. But no one understands defense systems like the dwarves.
A dwarf blacksmith who just happens to be standing in front of our gate?
That's right. I can see to it that orcs crack open their skulls on your gate, just like at home on the High Pass. Skulls that add up to hard cash for you.
You only know about the secondling stronghold from books, but you can see in the man's face you've pushed the right buttons.
All right then. You can spend the night in the village. You begin work tomorrow morning, and it'd better work like you promised.
Of course. It's a trifle.
After a meal, you spend the night in the comfort and shelter of a Goodwater tavern. The next morning, you feel fully refreshed. You strengthen the gate with cross braces of wood and iron, using your experience and skill. Now it should be able to withstand an attack for much longer. Mercenaries and villagers alike watch you work, clearly impressed. As you finish, a man approaches you.
Well done, dwarf. We were right to bring you into our village.
The village grew rich through bridge tolls, and this wealth must be defended.
I've spent almost half an orbit strengthening the gate. How about a bit of compensation?
The council member's face darkens.
We've paid for food and lodgings, and because we're generous, we've also thrown in the bridge toll. Good day, Mr. Dwarf.
An uneasy feeling has been your constant companion since you left Goodwater. Every little sound in the forest makes you fear you've been discovered by a horde of orcs. But you reach the end of the day without bumping into any of the greenskins. It seems as though Vracus has granted you one more day in Girdlegard. As night begins to fall, you pass a large oak tree and decide to call it a day. You swing yourself up the trunk and then pull up your baggage after you. You're prepared to sleep in a tree like a bird if it means escaping the orcs' attentions. You sling your rope twice around your stomach and the trunk of the tree to stop you from falling accidentally. You close your eyes and dream. You see North Pass and smell the fresh, icy wind that sweeps over the peaks of Great Blade and Dragon's Tongue. But the harmony is interrupted by the hideous roar of an unending flood of orcs throwing itself unceasingly against the fortification. You smell the disgusting green blood of the orcs and taste the rancid fat of their armour on your tongue. The bitter taste becomes stronger until it's unbearable and wrenches you out of your dream. You open your eyes and are surprised at the brightness as a glance at the sky confirms that it's still night. Your eyes move towards the ground, and what you see makes the blood in your veins freeze.
I am Sinthras of Son Balsur. My master, Nod-On the Doublefold, ruler of the perished land, has elected you, the lords of Taboribor, to be the sword that conquers the south.
You mean you want us to put our necks on the line and be killed by some magus?
Lot Yonan and the others will be taken care of. Your task is to create a diversion in the south until my master's plan succeeds.
And which of us is the leader?
The one that conquers the most land.
So Kragnar will be the new Grand Lord.
He glares at Ushnots and Bashkug.
The Kragnar Shore tribe will conquer the most land.
Never! We will overwhelm the cities of the Red Bloods quicker than you can suck the marrow from a bone.
We shall see.
You can't believe what you're hearing. If the beasts of Tion ride into battle together, catastrophic cycles lie ahead for Girdlegard. The night in the oak tree was the worst of your life. You spent every single moment afraid that you'd be found and savaged by the orcs. But as the first rays of sun broke through the treetops, the orcs abandoned their camp and left without discovering you.
Better safe than sorry.
Your eyes scan the deserted camp, and you listen carefully for any noise. But you don't see or hear anything suspicious.
Better safe than sorry.
Your eyes scan the deserted camp, and you listen carefully for any noise. But you don't see or hear anything suspicious.
Better safe than sorry.
Your eyes scan the deserted camp, and you listen carefully for any noise. But you don't see or hear anything suspicious.
You're overcome by the urge to vomit. You have, of course, heard the stories, but seeing with your own eyes that orcs actually do eat humans is a long way from just reading about it.
This is the place. I knew it was here. Come on then, find that stupid necklace. Hey, Fuskar! In front of you! A grounding! Perfect for a spun breakfast!
You know that you're no warrior, but you want to face the orcs as a child of the Divine Smith. Perhaps you'll manage to kill at least one of them, so as not to appear so undwarven in Varacus's eyes.
I'll give you something to chew on. Varacus made us of stone.
Oink, oink, little piggies! By Barrowin's beard! How did you manage to lose your weapon? Go and get it, and this time, hold it tight! Hey, that one was mine!
You're just too slow, dear brother!
Too slow? Just wait! And what now? Huh? I'm with you!
On my way.
Yes!
Yes?
Huh? What is it? Who's next?
Huh?
What is it? Yes?
Huh?
Huh? What is it?
Yes?
And what now? Yeah! Pow! Another one bites the dust. Huh?
Uh-huh.
What is it? Yes?
Yes? Understood.
I didn't hit you very hard. Huh? Huh? He hardly put up a fight.
At once. On my way. Huh?
And what now? Yes?
is it?
Yeah!
What is it? Don't rush me!
Huh?
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 Yes?
Ow! Another one bites the dust!
What is it? I'm not that quick!
Yes?
Huh?
Pow! Another one bites the dust!
Huh?
What is it?
Yes?
What is it? Yes, yes! Soon!
Yes?
Uh-huh. Understood.
And what now?
Huh?
And again. Yes?
What is it?
What is it? All right.
And what now?
At once.
What is it?
Huh?
Uh-huh.
And what now?
Yes?
Yes?
What is it?
Huh?
Uh-huh.
I am Bonda! Give me a hand! And what now?
What is it?
Huh?
I'm not that quick!
Huh? On my way!
Uh-huh.
And what now?
Yes?
Yeah!
I'll be ready soon! Don't rush me!
Who's next?
Huh? On my way.
Huh? I'm with you. What is it?
Yes? At once.
And what now?
Huh?
He hardly put up a fight.
Killed.
Oink oink! That's all? No more orcs?
Well fought, young friend. Do you happen to be tongued ill?
Well fought? But he fought like a...
Boindale, what do you expect? He grew up amongst the humans.
Who are you and how do you know my name?
My name is Boindale Hookhand of the clan of the Swinging Axes. This is my brother, Boindale Doubleblade. We've been sent to find you.
Call me Ironheart. Are there any more piggy snouts around here?
You turned up at just the right moment. But are you sure it's me you're looking for?
The High King Gundrabor sent us to fetch you and bring you to Ogre's Death in the Secondling realm in the south.
So he received the letter from my master? And am I a secondling?
Well, something like that, I guess.
There was a meeting last night. The Elfar serve a certain Nod On who calls himself Lord of the Perish Land. They have enlisted 3 orc hordes to cause unrest in the south.
Did you hear that, Boindale? Piggy snouts!
The Elfar from Son Balzur and the Orcs from Taboribor are working together?
And could ally with the orcs from the Perish Land.
The twins look at you solemnly. You all know what that would mean for the people of Girdlegard.
We've got to...
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. But it's our duty to get you to the Ogre's Death Fortress in one piece.
I thought the duty of dwarves was to protect the innocent in Girdlegard.
Lot Yonan and King Broron will take care of the orcs. We 3 must be careful. You're not exactly a warrior.
But he has broad shoulders and broad hands. There's hope for him yet. So when you've got the chance to split a few orc skulls, you should take it.
I would be happy to follow you into the realm of the Secondlings. In truth, there is nothing I would rather do. But first, I must travel to Blacksaddle and return some things to a former famulus of Lot Yonan.
Blacksaddle isn't exactly on our way.
It's on my way. We can head south as soon as I've carried out Lot Yonan's orders.
Well, he's certainly got the stubbornness of a dwarf. Perhaps we'll be able to make a real dwarf of him on the way.
All right, we'll accompany you. The sooner we find that famulus, the quicker we can get back to the mountains.
I'll have to send Lot Yonan a message by carrier pigeon on the way. And if we happen to stumble upon a couple of orcs...
I like you, but we'll have to find you another name. Bolafar. It's about as good as Lipsmith, Paddletosh, or Blufflegrump. It is stupid, senseless, and definitely not a name of honor. What are you good at?
I'm good at reading.
Reading? You're a scholar?
You look down. You're up. The guard. The double gate is made of... The double gate is... The double gate is made of...
Some of the guards...
I'm a dwarf, I'll have you know, just like you are humans and not overground.
I regret to inform you...
I've got 20 pieces of gold here looking for a taker in the village.
Ha! One of your folk might leave his post for 20 pieces of...
But...
The double gate... The double gate is made of straw. The wooden palisade encompasses the whole of the large village and is guarded by many men in armor. The wooden...
Orc skulls?
You're not...
The double gate is made of... As you get closer to part of the palisade, you hear whispering from the other side. You see one of the mercenaries through the gaps in the palisade. He looks around nervously.
Who are you? Why are you helping me?
Not everyone is paid as well by the villagers as our honourable commander. And you're a dwarf. Dwarves and orcs are deadly enemies.
The young man looks around nervously.
So, how about it? 40 gold pieces and I'll let you in.
All right, 40 pieces of gold and not a word to anyone.
Phew, that would cost me my head too.
You decide not to sneak around the village for too long and hide in some straw in a barn. You sleep uneasily, afraid you'll wake up at any moment with a knife at your throat. You don't feel very rested the next morning, but you manage to cross the bridge without incident and leave Goodwater behind. An uneasy feeling as night begins to... You take over the abandoned camp as your own. Whoever you dream of orcs who creep up on you in the night, and even imagine you can smell the rancid fat and look straight into the face of an orc who is holding a knife to your throat. Before